question is, we know that a special school, well, the community knows that a special school normally deals with kids that have disabilities. Their disabilities aren't visible. Can you just tell us what type of learners do you enroll at Bright Future Special School?
Bright Future Special School is one of the 5 different categories of special schools we have in the country. I would want to say, you know, when the Department of Education or the government sector per se is talking about disability, mostly they're concentrating on blind, deaf, and physical. But in KZN, we have 75 schools. And of the 75 schools, 69% of the schools, there is about, I think 52 of those schools are the SID schools or MMID schools, the severely intellectually disabled children, children that are affected mentally or whose mental capacity is not fully developed to be able to be independent thinkers and be able to work and function independently. So most of the time they need supervised, they need to be supervised, they work under supervision. So our school is a special school demarcated as a resource center. In other words, in the 3 streams curriculum, we are the special schools as resource centers as opposed to full service schools and mainstream schools. We are dealing with kids that are intellectually disabled. They themselves will be divided into different categories. We've got the ASD, autistic spectrum disorder. They themselves are divided into 2. There's the high care units, as well as the LPID, learners with profound intellectual disability. Then we've got MMID, those that are operating in the borderline, and then we have SID, the severe intellectual disabled. The difference is with the MMID, they can read, they can write to a certain extent, but with the SID, reading and writing proves to be difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But physically, when you look at these kids, they are okay. They're beautiful, they're handsome, they walk right, they do everything. But according to instructions, somebody needs to be there to supervise or to give them instructions to say, do this, do that, do that. But independently, that's where the challenge would be, to be able to do things on their own.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer, sir. We'd like to know what can you advise the parents that's at home watching this that doesn't know what their child's situation is, and their child happens to be above the age of 13 or 14 years old. What can that parent do? Can they still come to the school and register their kid, or is it too late? Is there another way that they can get assistance?
My starting point is going to be, one, we've moved a milestone since the starting of the school way back in 1982, where parents were not forthcoming with the disability of their learners. They would hide those kids. Now parents have accepted that kids may be experiencing some difficulties and they are coming forth with the kids. But I want to say, in terms of the Department of Education, every child must be enrolled at a school, preferably a nearby school. The determination whether the child is disabled or not in terms of the learning ability is going to be determined by the school, by the processes in terms of inclusive education that is called CIAS. Has to be done by the school. It is the school that will advise the parent There will be engagement in terms of the SNA form. There will be engagement with the parent to say the child is not coping. This is what we are doing to support the child, or this is what we are recommending. Parents should not stay with the kids at home until the kids are over age. Once the child is 6 years, they must take the child to the school. Whether they have that suspicion that the child may not cope at a mainstream school, but they still have to take the child to the mainstream school. Mainstream school, they know what to do, and they will advise the parent accordingly, because the child does not necessarily have to come to a special school. The child may need to go to a full service school, or the child may need to be supported within the school, not necessarily by opening a remedial class. Inside the class, there is an individualized learning program that is designed for the child inside the school. So, in essence, it's not a necessity that if a child is experiencing difficulty in learning, the child must be sent to a special school.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Is there any additional information that we may have left out that you feel the public should know about?
Maybe briefly, we want to indicate what we do at the school. One, we teach kids from the age of 6 to the age of 13. Once they get to 13 years, then we introduce them to a curriculum that is going to skill them, that is going to give them skills that when they leave the school, they can either open their own businesses or they can join a business sector out there. As a school, we are offering 9 different skills in sewing, food production, which does baking and cooking. We have pottery, we have creative arts, we have performing arts, we have nail and beauty, we have sewing, did I count sewing? We have woodwork, and then we have arts and craft. So we try our utmost best to create a brighter future for our kids.
These kids, after all, the skills are very important in our world now. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.